Reliability is a big problem for some models, right? In this video, I'm gonna tell you how you can make any motorcycle reliable by only using 5 simple rules. So if you have nothing to do, grab your favorite drink and stay with me. Welcome back. Some models are famous with their reliability, others not so. But I do believe that you can correct all of this if you just follow some very basic, simple rules. They are very logical and easy to do, and I honestly don't understand why so many people ignore them and try to destroy their motorcycles, even though this will cost them money. In my life, I owned many motorcycles and cars, and I never had any serious issues because I just follow these simple rules. Alright, enough talks, let's finally begin. Number 1. Buy brand and model that covers your needs. If this is Honda Goldwing or BMW 1600, so be it. You know exactly what kind of motorcycle you need and what kind of strips you plan to execute. Don't imitate others just because you might be cool. No one give a shit what kind of pictures you're gonna upload on your Instagram account. This so-called adventure hype is temporary and it will go as any other mania that you have seen in your life. We all are different and have different preferences or goals. Don't be a sheep. Sheep usually get eaten. Number 2. Use the motorcycle for what it's designed for. BMW 1250 1300, KTM 1290 or Yamaha Super Tenere are not dirt bikes. In fact, they cannot even labeled as an adventure motorcycles, even though I don't like this definition. This Tenere 700 is not a dirt bike either. Even though it has a great potential and in the right hands, it will make almost anything, as Paul Tarras already proved to all of us, but keep in mind that he is a very skilled rider, and most of the Tenere owners will not even have 10% of his skills. And they will quickly realize that this motorcycle is very heavy, it's very tall, and it's not that easy to ride it on the dirt terrains, unless you have the skills. And they will quickly realize how expensive are the spare parts, and in fact for a few years, even months, you can convert this reliable motorcycle to absolutely garbage if you just don't use it for the purpose it's designed for. KTM 690R, for example, it's a light motorcycle with good suspension, powerful engine and very good off-road capabilities, but it is not a travel bike. Many tried to convert it to it, and they made all of these expensive modifications that usually cost like 2,000–3,000 euros just to realize that the motorcycle is not reliable. They have many issues. They are not designed to cover thousands of kilometers every single day. I'm sure that many will try to convince me the opposite, but let's face the reality and see as it is. How many KTM 690 owners you know that seriously travel? Not people that riding around their homes, just travel with these motorcycles. In the last 15 years I saw probably 2 or 3, and one of them I met in deep Siberia 2 years ago on my trip to Magadan. And we were in the same place where we spent the night, and in the garage was my motorcycle and his KTM. He arrived probably 2 hours after me and immediately disassembled the whole bike and tried to fixing the small problem that he has, including changing the spark plugs, adjusting the valves and all of that stuff. And keep in mind that his trip was from there, well, the place where we've been, to Altai, something like 5,000 kilometers. So for 5,000 kilometers he need to do so many different checks and adjustments just to be able to continue traveling. In my situation, my trip was 39,000 kilometers and I did nothing. In my opinion, this type of motorcycles are great for a weekend fun, riding around your hometown, but of course always keep in mind that after you finish, you have to do a proper maintenance as they are required, and then you can keep it for many years, but for traveling, forget about it. I can give you many more examples like this, but I hope that you get the idea. Basically, every model has its own place in the motorcycle world, and whatever you move from it, the problems will start. Yes, it may take a little bit of time, the motorcycle will accept some punishments and beating here and there, but the end result will be always the same. You will just destroy it. Number 3. Service intervals are not an insurance. Changing the oils once per 10 or 12,000 kilometers, whatever your manual recommends, might not be enough, especially if you ride in different riding conditions like muddy, dusty or hardcore riding. So these 10 or 12,000 kilometers intervals will be just way too much, and it will be the same for your air filter, all of your wheel bearings and all the components that you have on your motorcycle. So the service intervals are some kind of guidance, but you have to find your own limits and change it when it's necessary for your riding style. I'm not going even to discuss what will be the situation with all of the electronics that most of the modern motorcycles have. The dust is the biggest enemy of the electronics. It goes everywhere and slowly but surely will kill everything. So if you have one of those modern computers on wheels, keep it on the asphalt. This is the only recommendation that I can give you right now, and they will serve you eventually for many years. But on the dirt roads, dusty roads, muddy roads, no. As I already told you, every motorcycle has a purpose. But if you decided to use yours for something else, please do it so, but make the service intervals shorter. Don't wait 10 or 12,000 kilometers. For example, on my Tenere 700, the service interval is 10,000 kilometers. But even so, I change my oil every 5,000 kilometers, sometimes even sooner, because I do believe that by changing and using a fresh oil, I will guarantee a long life of my engine, because the service intervals are made for all motorcycle riders around the world, and the conditions are not equal to everyone. Also, this applies to all the motorcycle components that you have on your motorcycle, like your forks oil, clutch cable, brakes, swing arm bearings, steering column bearings, wheel bearings, brake pads, everything. So you have to do the inspection more often and change and clean the details more often if you want to secure a long life of all the system that you have. And another one advice from me, I have heard from some experts that if you change your oil more often, you don't need to change the oil filter as well. But in my opinion, this is absolutely wrong, because most of the modern oil filters, they have some kind of bypass systems on it. And once the filter is clogged, this bypass systems opens and let the oil go directly into your engine. And this might create some very bad long-term effects on your engine. Also, regularly check your battery, especially the charging system. With a device like this, multi-set, you can do it for just a couple of minutes, and this might prevent a lot of problems in the future. Number 4, keep the motorcycle as stock as possible. Every modification that you plan to make or you already made on your motorcycle will raise the risk of having a technical problem on the road. That's why I always suggest to have the modifications that are only necessary for you. Don't convert your motorcycle like a Christmas tree with everything that you have seen online or you have seen on the motorcycles of your friends. Use and make the modifications that are only necessary for you and your type of trips. The rest is pointless and useless, and also risky. The easiest mistakes to make, or the mistakes that might cause many serious problems, are by touching or cutting the original electric system. Even though it might be done by professionals, it might still have some very bad long-term effect. Usually this is happening when people try to install a 12-volt socket or auxiliary lights or stuff like that. Just be careful what you cut, where you cut it, and how you insulate it after that. The second on the list are some ergonomic changes, usually to lowering or lifting the motorcycle a bit. This might completely change the ergonomics of the model. And the problem is that you're not gonna feel anything. You might not gonna feel it every time when you ride it, but in very specific situations, it's gonna be bad and it's gonna be too late to do anything. The third is exhaust system modification. What usually people do, they're changing the pipes, removing the catalytic converter, eliminating lambda sensor, installing power commanders, or many more like this. But it is way more complicated than most of the people think. In my opinion, you shouldn't touch it at all. If you want to change something, change the muffler, because it will not affect how the engine works. As I said, this is complicated system, And it's not so easy to change everything unless you spend thousands of dollars on it, and you might still have some problems, especially on long term. The argument of many is that they're gonna gain some horsepower, and that's true. You might have maybe 3 or 5 horsepower extra, but in exchange of your model's reliability. I have a few friends who already did this conversion, and now I can see that they have some problems. So especially on the early morning starts, the engine does not work properly. The RPMs are not as before. They make some functions like so I will rather prefer to stay away from all of this and keep the motorcycle as stock as possible instead of battling for 3 or 5 horsepower. If you need more power, just buy a motorcycle with powerful engine. That's it. When I bought my old Tenere 660, it was already with a different pipe. The lambda sensor and the catalytic converter were already removed, and I had a power commander on it. And even though I never had any technical problems with it, I felt many times that it works a bit differently in very specific situations, and I even considered to remove back to the stock setup, but it was just too expensive to buy all of these parts again, and I rode it just like that, believing that it will be alright. And it's never let me down. I never stopped on the road, but I had a lot of discussions with my friend and mechanic what I should do in the case power commander stop, for example, and he explained me very detailed what connections I have to do to go back to the original setup. Number 5. Don't clean or wash your motorcycle very often. All of this might sound a little bit confusing, but I'm sure that you'll understand what I mean. All of the moving parts of your engine of the motorcycle and the whole motorcycle itself, all of these wheel bearings and chains and sprockets and all moving details, they need lubrication. Lubrication means oil, not water. So don't wash your motorcycle very often, because this will slowly destroy it. Of course, cleaning the motorcycle after you rode in some muddy or salty conditions, it's a good thing, it's actually recommended, but how often you ride in these conditions? And when you finally decided that the motorcycle needs to be cleaned, make it gently. Don't use jet water, especially around the wheel bearings, steering column bearings, around the sprockets, the oil seals and all of that stuff. Just stay away, and the best will be to use a normal pipe and soap. Stay away from all of these expensive and aggressive chemical materials that will promise to remove every piece of dust that you can have on your motorcycle. Don't worry so much about the dust, worry about the oil or the lubrication that you're gonna wash when you clean the motorcycle. The dust around electric components could be easily removed by a cloth and air compressor. You don't need to use any chemical materials on it, because it will slowly destroy everything. In the end, it's a motorcycle. It's not some kind of museum exponent that you carry so much and it needs to be shiny and polished all the time. And one bonus tip from me: to ride your motorcycle once per month or a couple of times per year won't help you much with longevity. Actually, it will help you with longevity, but not with reliability, because you might easily have a motorcycle that is 30 years old with only 2,000–3,000 kilometers on the clock, but how well it will start or how it will work, what will be its reliability, is completely different story. Will it work trouble-free? Can you travel with this motorcycle? I highly doubt. I also think that to start your engine for 5 or 10 minutes a couple of times per week, it's not a good idea just to warm it out, because everything you will do is just condensation inside of the engine, and this will slowly destroy it. The best way to protect your motorcycle is to ride it as small as possible. This will keep it in good condition, because as I told you already 2 times, the motorcycle needs lubrication, and when you're moving all the parts, they will lubricate. That's everything for today. I hope that this video will help you at least one person. Press like or dislike, whatever the video deserves. If you subscribe, even better. If you want to watch my travel videos, you can do it on my second channel, Motorcycle Adventures Travel Videos. I will link it in the description down below. Over there you can watch my series from South America. See you in the next video. Ciao!